Hey Mandy Maniacs! So today we are going to be making some lavender lemonade. It's my first time making it and I've heard it is incredible. I've made lavender green tea, which is really good. And you make it kind of in a similar same way. You make the lavender simple syrup and then you combine it with lemonade or tea or whatever you prefer. So all you're going to need is a handful of lavender, about a handful, give or take, depending on how much you'd like to make, how strong you want it. I'm going to be using about a handful. And you can use either fresh lavender or you can use dried lavender. I will be using fresh lavender from my lavender herb plant. And then you'll also need sugar and water and either lemons or lemonade mix. It's up to you. So you need a handful of lavender, roughly about I would say anywhere between, depending on the strength you like, between a half a cup to a cup of lavender. And then you want your lemonade mix or lemons. I use 2 lemons in mine. And then you'll want water and sugar. And then that's everything you need to make it, only 4 ingredients. So without further ado, let's get started. So here is my lavender plant. I actually am hitting this a bit late. It would be more ideal to get the flowers when they're fresher in bloom, but I waited a bit. So, for the lavender simple syrup, what we want is the lavender flowers, but it's perfectly fine if you get the sprigs also. That won't be an issue. So you can either cut right from the bottom down here and take the whole sprig, or if you just want to do the flowers, you can do that also. I'm gonna go ahead and use, I'm thinking probably more of the whole sprig and just trim it down as needed, because this doubles as kind of deadheading your lavender. So, let's see, here is a nice one. And the thing with lavender, when you're making lavender lemonade, to kind of remember, anytime you're working with lavender, lavender tends to get strong very quickly. And if you use too much lavender, it can easily taste like soap. So you don't want to overdo the lavender, but you also want to make sure you have enough for your simple syrup. And you can always use a lot, make a larger batch, and that way you can keep the simple syrup in like a small mason jar. And that way when you want to make fresh lavender lemonade, you have it right there at your disposal. And then it's ready to go for you. So just keep cutting the flowers, and I'll show you how many I did as soon as I finish this, but I'm actually holding my phone with one hand, so I'm gonna set that down for a moment. So this is the amount of lavender I've collected, which is plenty. You can always use more or less depending on how large of a batch you'd like to make. So I'm probably going to make a few batches of lemonade from this, but I will kind of just make a simple syrup to have on hand. So yeah, a lot of people when working with herbs will tell you to dry them first. In a simple syrup, this really isn't necessary, and you'll see why. Alright, so once you've washed your lavender, you're going to want to get out some sugar, just plain regular sugar, not powdered sugar, not brown sugar, just regular granulated sugar. And you're going to use that and boiling water to make this. So you want to obviously wash your lavender, wash your hands. And then you're going to set this in the sugar and kind of rub it in to kind of infuse the sugar and the lavender. So you are going to want 1 cup of sugar, and then you can put your lavender flowers in there. And I recommend using something that can handle heat because you're going to be adding 2 cups of boiling water. And what you're going to want to do is kind of rub this in to kind of combine it a bit. Kind of mash it in there the best you can. So it really, wow, that smells incredible actually. So you just want to kind of rub it in with your sugar. And I mean, you don't have to do a perfect job because you'll be infusing it when you add the boiling water. And I highly recommend these pitchers. Is dried lavender right there. It's a little more dry. And you can use dried or you can use fresh lavender. I'm using fresh lavender, which is going to be fine for making a simple syrup. So just kind of work it in like so. And then what I'm going to use eventually, I have a bunch of these guys. These need to be rinsed from the last lemonade. But I have a bunch of these, and I love these for pitchers because there's no plastic on them. They're actually ball mason jars, but really large, half gallon, and that's what I actually use for a pitcher because I don't like plastic. And this part is glass, and then this is metal, so no part of it's plastic. And I love these for making sun tea also. They're absolutely wonderful. Yeah, so I recommend getting these. They're pretty cheap. I think at Walmart for a 6-pack of these half-gallon ball mason jars, it's like $15, I think, and these last forever because I just picked up another pack and the first pitcher I had is still in use. I still have it. It works great. I've been using it for like 4 or 5 years, so I love these guys. You probably see me using these a lot for any drink I make, whether lemonades, teas, cucumber waters, anything like that. Okay, so I told you guys to use this so it was heat safe, but I decided to actually switch gears. I'm going to just add this to the boiling, well, once it's boiling, 2 cups of water. And then, yeah, that'll work quite nicely. So 1 cup granulated sugar and a handful of lavender flowers or lavender sprigs. Those can be dried or not dried. And then 2 cups of boiling water is what you're going to want to do. You need to get this water boiling. And that's actually all you need for the lavender simple syrup. As far as the lavender lemonade, the lemonade part of it, you have a couple options. You can either do a more easy take on it, like a pre-made lemonade powder, like a, I think Country Time might be. I think that's the right name for one of them. Or you can make your own lemonade using lemons. Both are fairly easy methods. I think I'm gonna shortcut it. I'll look in the cupboard actually, and I think we have lemonade mix, so I'm gonna do it the easy way this time. Just giving you guys the idea of how to do the lavender simple syrup. And what's nice about the lavender simple syrup is you can use it in a lot of things. You can either use it in teas. It's really good if you make green tea and then you have it as an iced tea and you add the lavender simple syrup. It's delicious. And this is actually my first time making lavender lemonade, so I've heard it's wonderful, so we get to experience that together. Yeah, it smells really amazing. But the one thing with lavender that you want to keep in mind is too much and it'll taste like soap. So there is that. And when this water begins to boil, we'll go ahead and add that, and then we'll stir it and kind of let it sit for a while. And you can let it steep for anywhere between a half hour to a few hours, depending on how much of that flavor you want to come through there. So I've went ahead and added our sugar and lavender mix to the boiling water. And you want the water to get to a rolling boil and then shut it off and add your lavender and sugar, you know, while the water is still boiling. But obviously you can then shut the burner off once you're there. And then you just want to stir it until the sugar kind of melts in and dissipates into the liquid. It's kind of what you're going for. And then you're just gonna, once that's happened, whoops, got a little foggy there. Once that's happened and your sugar, it's all stirred, you have no more sugar in there. Like obviously your sugar's like dissolved into the water. Then you're gonna go ahead and leave that anywhere between a half an hour to several hours, and just let it steep. The longer you let it steep, the stronger your simple syrup will be. So yeah, probably let that steep for about an hour. I don't know if I remembered to tell you, you also want to cover this while it sits and kind of steeps. So how I made my lemonade, we did not have a mix in the cupboard, which is totally fine because in my opinion, made from scratch always tastes so much better than store-bought. So I also notice it's not that yellow color that the dye is from the mix. What I actually used to make mine was the juice of 2 lemons and a 1/4 cup of sugar. If it's not sweet enough for your taste, keep in mind you'll be adding the lavender simple syrup, which is going to sweeten it. So that's how I made my lemonade. A 1/4 cup of granulated sugar and the juice of 2 lemons. So then we will be adding the lavender simple syrup to it as per taste. Add more depending on the flavor that you like. Okay guys, that has had about an hour and a half to steep, so it's gonna be nice and perfect. Now all there is to do is we want to, you can either use a slotted spoon like so, or you can use a strainer to get out the lavender. It's totally up to you. And then once you do that, you're going to add your simple syrup. Once the lavender has been removed, you're going to add it to your lemonade. My recommendation is about 1/4 of the simple syrup or less. You can always add more, but you don't want to start off with it overpowering. It turned out delicious, you guys, and I find the small mason jars are perfect for your leftover lavender simple syrup. That way you can use it in teas, lemonades, anything you like. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe.